As I started to question, okay, why do I feel like I need to eat 3 meals a day? And how long has this been going on? And where did this come from? And so
Yeah,
as I questioned that, it really, we never ate 3 meals a day till the agricultural revolution, till companies and products wanted to sell you
right.
breakfast food, and there became an industry around it. And then due to marketing, we formed these habits.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Lomitech, and sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and Birthright Excel. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Let's talk about Iconoclasm, and soon you'll understand exactly what that is. Meet Tony Zorc, the CEO and founder of Accounting Seed. Tony is an iconoclast, founder and CEO of Accounting Seed, technology entrepreneur, ForbesBooks author, and CPA for 20 plus years. He embodies iconoclasm, the idea of challenging the prescribed way of doing things and coming up with a better, more innovative solution. Accounting Seed, the world's first accounting platform, is disrupting the cloud accounting industry and has over 1,000 customers and 14,000 users, and has sustained double-digit growth for over 10 consecutive years. Meet Tony.
Tony Zorc, welcome to 20 Minute Leaders all the way from Maryland. How are you doing?
I'm great, Michael. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
I'm really excited to have you here. You're a financial expert for more than 20 years, the founder and CEO of Accounting Seed, and most recently the author of Iconoclasm, a survival guide in the post-pandemic economy. And the question has to start with, what is iconoclasm?
Yeah, that's fair enough. So an iconoclast is someone who's the fusion of three things. There's someone who challenges the existing way of doing things. They design a better way, and then they have the discipline to execute that design and put it in place. And I, have kind of hijacked this term because I feel like an iconoclast is different from someone who's just maybe an entrepreneur or a philanthropist, or an inventor. And so I do define it against those other terms, but ultimately it's those three things. And to make that even simpler, more simple, Michael, I call it challenge, design, execute. So it's someone who really applies this challenge, design, execute, and lives by it.
And so which part of your journey leads you to, the conviction that you have behind the idea of iconoclasm and the need to challenge, design, and execute in today's world?
Well, the pandemic did the same thing, I think, for me that it did for a lot of people, which was to stop and just reflect and think about what is going on and how crazy is this. And so I started a book. I partnered with Forbes to write this book. And I kind of pivoted. I actually just started another book, and then I pivoted to really this because after doing some soul searching, I really found that I was, when you think about the commercial value for you thinking for yourself, Michael, there's like next to none. There's like next to no value for you to actually think for yourself and think independently, because there's a cost to putting out messages on the airwaves, on social media, all these things. And with that, there are corporations trying to sell you products. There's nonprofits trying to get you to donate to their cause. There's politicians trying to get you to vote a certain way. But there's very little, if none at all, forces or people out there trying to get you to think for yourself and decide what's best for you. And I think the pandemic just revealed this to a T. And I decided that's what I was passionate about, and we need more material for people to think objectively and think for themselves. And I try to really do that in this book. This book is more of a way to think. And a formula for successful thinking for personal as well as business. So I would say, my authority is more of being a successful entrepreneur. So I have a lot of experience there, but I use the same formula to manage my diet, to exercise, to manage my relationships, my marriage, all these things. So, yeah.
So walk me through a few of the the case studies or the insights that you've been thinking through as you're thinking about iconoclasm. What are some examples in our life or in history that depict the need for this independent thought?
Yeah, there's just tons of them all over. So I think a real simple one that jumps out at me is diet and what we eat. Right. I was, like most Americans, I was struggling to keep in the weight zone I wanted to, and I was working really hard and trying to figure that out. And I do CrossFit. I was a competitive gymnast. You'll see my real career, Michael, now is I was a gymnast turned accounting rapper. I have a rap video that I put out. You'll have to take a look out and put to the links.
I already did. You're already alluding to the second half of the
gotcha.
of the discussion.
All right,
I'm
sorry. I didn't want to spoil that for you, but I actually did a backflip in that rap video, which took a lot of effort. So it was cool for me to be able to still do that. But so, anyways, I was struggling to stay in my appropriate weight zone, and I finally. I got a dog like you, and I was noticing the dog, I only fed him twice a day. And I was like, why do I need to eat 3 times a day? Like, why can this creature eat, just twice a day? And then as I question, as I started questioning, okay, why do I feel like I need to eat 3 meals a day? And how long has this been going on, and where did this come from? And so as I questioned that, it really, we never ate 3 meals a day till the agricultural revolution, till companies and products wanted to sell you breakfast food, and there became an industry around it. And then due to marketing, we formed these habits. And then I discovered intermittent fasting, right, which is enormous. And so now I eat once a day. And I've had no problem staying in my weight zone, just having one meal a day. And I actually not even hungry during the day. And I've been doing this for probably 3 or 4 years. But it was not easy to just get into that. I had to kind of wean myself off of 3 meals a day, right, through different fasting techniques. But that's just a small example of tons of things out there, right? And the book's full of these kinds of examples at both a corporate level and a personal level.
Wow. And so this idea of independent thought, right? Because what you're describing here is this idea that we're getting accustomed to a lot of these trends and a lot of these behaviors that, they're not necessarily the right behaviors for us, but we've been taught that these are the behaviors that we should be exhibiting and that we should be playing with. But you're saying, well, if we actually take a moment to think more critically about who we actually are and what we actually need, then it might differ from the normalcy of society.
Yeah, and I think the pandemic, to me, it drove me absolutely crazy how this went down and how people reacted to it. And so many people. So the opposite of an iconoclast would be a drone. A drone is someone who doesn't think for themselves and lets other people do the thinking for them and decision making for them. So with this pandemic, it was very clear. And in the book, I kind of go into that we had a panic attack as a nation, and not unrightfully so. We were completely unprepared for this, had no plan. And with that panic attack, we were left all wondering, what should we do? What should we do?
Right.
And so many people let others make that decision for them, versus looking at different media sources, looking at these sources as advisors, assessing their own risk involved and making an informed decision for themselves what mattered, right? So I go into this in a lot of depth in the book. So think if we had, when I was growing up, I grew up in the Midwest, and we had drills for tornadoes. And on the East Coast, we have hurricanes, and everything's rated on a 1 to 5 scale system, right? And so, like, even in think of suburban Chicago in the 1970s, we have a drill. We'd run out into the hallway. We put our hands behind our necks. We put our necks down, and then our teachers would actually come by and critique. They're like, okay, no, you're not doing it that well. Put your hands more on here, right? And then on the East Coast, we had drills for hurricanes and have hurricane evacuation routes and warning systems and scales of 1 to 5. So nothing for this pandemic. So it was very clear to me that several people I knew thought and were treating this as a 1. Like, oh, this is nothing. Like, this is a joke. It's not even a real thing. And then several were like treating it like a 5. Like, this is the most severe thing, and you going out means you're actually a murderer. You're going to kill people if you go out, and how reckless of you, right? And the truth is there's probably somewhere in between, and it's different risks for different people involved. Right. And then when you throw in things like social distancing and masks, and then the risks start plummeting, right, quickly. Right. But a lot of people just not looking at all that information, deciding what's best, letting other people make their decision for them. And that's a big impetus is why I wrote the book, is to get out of that mindset, to make your own decisions. And so when you're looking now, I'm as a young entrepreneur, when I'm taking to heart what you're saying, and what I'm taking away from this is this idea that, both as a leader, I need to empower myself to be cognizant of the different information sources and make decisions that are right for me, and that I have full conviction in. But I also need to create an environment and foster a culture in which people that are working with me have the ability to do so, have the courage to do so, have the tools to do so. And I'm guessing that there's also a big part in leadership in enabling people to do so, right? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Michael. I mean, on a lot of levels, like, as, I feel like 5 things has jumped in my head on different directions, to go with this. But, the first thing is, what I do in the book is try to outline what are called dynamics. So, a paradigm is a belief system that something should be a certain way, and it's always based on some kind of what I've defined as an underlying dynamic. And a dynamic is like a force in the marketplace. It could be technology, it could be a belief system, it could be science, it could be religious, it could be social norms, right? These are just all the time these dynamics are changing. And so when an underlying dynamic is changing, but the business model or operating model or whatever methodology, the model of doing it is lagging behind, then there's the opportunity for that challenge. And then there's an opportunity to do it a better way. And that's why an iconoclast loves change, because it's just constantly opening up opportunity. So from a leadership perspective, and especially at my company, it's a growing company. We just took on a private equity partner too. So we're tripling the staff, those type of things. Yeah, all of the things, all of the reasons why we did things in the past are now not relevant. So I can't make all those decisions on my own as a leader. We have a whole team doing those. So they need to embrace this idea of asking why. Why are we doing it this way? What was the history of this? What were the dynamics that forced us into this? Well, at the time we couldn't afford this type of talent. Well, now we can. At the time, we had this type of a partner. Now we don't. And all throughout the organization. And this is just part of the key to what I call leveling up and changing for the better. Amazing. So now I have to take you back. Gymnast turned accountant, financial expert, backflip in a rap video. How does all of this add up together? Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I was actually a competitive gymnast when I was younger. I retired kind of when I got to the collegiate level. But I competed pretty heavily for about 7 years and at a national level. So I've always been able to do handstands and backflips and those type of things, and still have been able to maintain it. So I do them for fun, for stunts, for kind of show off stuff.
Yeah.
Mostly at the beach where it's sandy and I can crash. And then I got into college and I decided that I really loved business and that there were so many jobs in accounting. And I kind of liked accounting because it helped me understand how like Wall Street worked. And, there were a lot of important decisions being made after this information. And there was a whole way of preparing it and theory behind it. And I thought it was kind of fun. And then, all of my friends were like, you want to do accounting? They're like, no one wants to do that. If you really want to do that, you should do it because there's tons of jobs in that. Yeah. And of course, like I had 3 job offers out of college from public accounting. And then I got into technology, which again, it's a wonderful field to be in. There's just so many opportunities, and ended up creating this company and growing it and whatnot. So one of the as now kind of transitioning from an owner operator to really trying to be an executive and a leader. I was listening to a podcast on being a more succinct and effective speaker, and it was actually challenged the executives in the podcast to write a poem about their company. And so I wrote this poem, and then I'm like, actually, this is like all a rap is a poem to a beat. I'm like, I could just add a beat to this and make this a rap. I'm like, I should do this, and that would be really fun, right? And I'm always trying to, accounting's a little bit, so believe it or not, Michael, some people think accounting's a little boring, which I don't understand at all. But
I don't believe that.
Yeah, so some people think it's boring. I know that's crazy. So we're always looking at ways to make it a little more fun and interesting. So I'm claiming to be the first ever accounting rapper. And then to make this rap, we made a rap video, and to make it fun, I did a backflip at the end to kind of have a big punch. So I dusted off, my shoes. I was very scared to do these backflips. So I started at the beach, and then I came in, and I had to do it in front of a green screen with a suit on. So with a tie and a shirt on, which, believe it or not, that was the scariest thing, because when you're doing like a backflip in a t-shirt, like you can really get full range of motion, and like every little thing counts, right? So I was like terrified throwing this backflip in front of the green screen in this tie and shirt. And it all worked out because I was so afraid everyone's going to be like, you're 47 years old. You shouldn't, one, be doing backflips, two, in front. You're not really a rapper either. And, it would all just come crashing. But I'm here to prove them all wrong, Michael.
I love it. Okay, Tony, this was just amazing. And Iconoclasm, I'm definitely looking forward to reading the book. And this idea of challenge, design, execute, regardless of the decision, this ability to have a personal conviction on what you do and why you do it. And I'm taking it now as, to the entrepreneurial world and as a leader and as a contributor then to fostering a good culture in an organization. It sounds like this is something that is really important to cultivate. I want to take you back to your childhood. What really fascinated you as a kid? I know that there were numbers and I guess also gymnasts, but if you're thinking back to your childhood, what really got you going in the day-to-day world?
Well, I was a huge science fiction fan as a child and am today. In fact, I also build Legos. I have a whole Lego room at my house. So my mom is like, okay, you haven't changed since you're 10 years old. You want to see Star Wars movies and build Legos. And I'm like, yeah, that's like the same thing. So those were like a product like Lego was very engineering focused. I really liked that. And then I really love space and astronomy. And I think like I watch all these documentaries on like the Hubble Space Telescope, and I've like seen every one. I just love them. Because I think it's just fascinating. What the heck is out there? Like, what is out there? Where are we in this enormous universe? So I think those really fascinated me as a kid, and I still think I'm a kid, Michael. In fact, I might be regressing because I'm doing stuff as a 40-year-old that I should have been doing as a teenager, like making rap videos. But
I love it. And what inspires you today? So the pandemic and watching how people reacted, that was an inspiration for the book. And as you're looking at your day-to-day, what are some things that really inspire you?
I just think friends and situations, and people who just want to improve and level up is so inspiring to me, and overcome their, the thing that's holding them back. As a leader of a growing organization, I've had this same kind of formula that has worked very well, which is my job is to find the thing that's holding the company back and, do this Iconoclast thing, do the challenge, design, execute on it, and then level up the company. And then once that's done, ask the same question. Okay, what's holding us back now? Right. And do the same thing over. And I've tried to do that as an individual too. I've been working on things like my emotional intelligence, and things like anger, and things like all kinds of stuff, right? All the time. So I'm always thinking, like, what's holding me back as a person? And I feel like other folks that, are, can lead and share. In the book too, you find out everything I've done wrong too, all the stupid things I've done, right? Which I think is even in more impressive, to be able to share your mistakes and how people can learn 100%. From them, because it makes it so much more real. And so I think, what inspires me is people who are willing to share what didn't work for them, and then how they overcame them, and open and helping others is inspiring to me.
I love it. And what are 3 words you would use to describe yourself?
Well, I would say 3 words that come to mind. I think I'm an ambitious guy, because I'm an entrepreneur and I want to keep growing this company, and then, keep doing things like backflips. And, so I think that a lot of folks would say I'm fairly ambitious. I think I'm also very disciplined. I really thrive on that. I use things like being a perfectionist to help me stay disciplined. And I think the third thing is adaptable. I think this is the thing I'm actually do the best, is I can adapt to a new situation very quickly, and enjoy that adaptation, enjoy that change. And I think so. The ambition, at being adaptable, and then discipline would probably be the 3 words I would use.
Tony, thank you so much. This was wonderful. I look forward to reading the book, and thank you for taking the time to share it with me. It was great.
Thank you, Michael. It was great to talk to you. Have a great day.
Thank you.